Yo, what is up guys? I'm here hitting you up with a new solo leveling a rise video, and today I wanted to make a artifact tier list explaining you my thoughts on where I rank these artifacts and why ranking them the way I do them, with some explanations since I had about a month time to play this game early access and where I see them potentially also in the future. So the first artifact we start off is the Hard Letter set. This is a S tier set. It gives you an additional 8% crit rate and an additional 32% crit damage. It's very potent, one of the best damage dealing sets in the game right now, especially very strong on Jin Woo. To give you a better understanding of why this set is actually so powerful, we have to look in game. So those are the stats of my Jin Woo. Currently, I'm capped with the crit rate at 50% and I have a crit damage of 177%. So the thing is, when it comes to the Hard Leather set, is the fact that when you use the set where you get the bonus of 8% crit rate and 30% of crit damage, these stats are actually not reflected down here in this stat line. So for example, you see now I have 177 crit damage, right? Now let's say I replace my hard leather gloves for, let's say, a holy piece, right? So I'm basically losing my 32%. If we now look at the stat line, it still shows I have 177% crit damage. So based on the fact that we now know that the hard leather set effect is not reflected in your stat lines, that means that my actual stats are not 50% crit rate, but I have actually 58% crit rate. It can go overboard because of the set effect, plus the 32% of the crit damage, and I actually have 209% crit damage thanks to the hard leather set. So next thing is, why is 32% crit damage a lot? If we look at this beast necklace, this one I had a triple roll in crit damage, which are 3048 points in crit damage. The piece I used before this one was this beast necklace, which didn't have any crit damage at all. And by using this piece, I had a crit damage value of 156%. So having an additional 3000 points in crit damage increased my crit damage by 21%. So now that we know that 3048 points in crit damage equal roughly 21% crit damage, if we divide 21 by 4, we know that each upgrade in crit damage equals to 5.25% crit damage in total, right? Roughly around this area. So if we can get a quad roll on crit damage, let's say 21 plus 5, that means if we can get a quad roll that equals to roughly 26% crit damage. So just the set effect alone from the hard leather set, 32%, is better than a quad roll into crit damage, which then equals like you need basically a +5 on crit damage to kind of equalize the hard leather set effect. That's why the set effect is actually so strong in comparison. The next set we have is the Black Lion set. The Black Lion set for me personally is an A tier weapon artifact, because it provides you 5% additional attack and 15% defense penetration. But the thing here is that the crit damage and the crit rate provide you, for example, more ways to deal more consistent damage at a higher rate than having just 5% more attack and 15% defense penetration, because I feel like, or I do believe that crit damage scales better than the def penetration currently in the game, especially with the amount you get. And the only real unit where you can use the Black Lion set over the leather set for damage is Choi, because Choi cannot crit. So the Black Lion set is obviously the better choice for Choi than for, let's say, any other unit, and especially you can only use it on units which scale off attack. And we have like lots of units like Seo, Emma, stuff like that, you know, what we're using which do not scale off attack, so this one isn't as great. Next up, we have the Palisade. I put the Palisade in niche because the only real unit you want to use the Palisade on right now is Seo, because Seo actually benefits a lot from this set, because I believe it's because of her super armor abilities that she cannot for some reason cancel her skill animation to dodge certain attacks, and because of that, having a 30% stronger shield helps her a lot for survivability. And as well, it has another different effect, that's why I feel like the Palace set is also better than the leather set on her, is basically because of the fact that when the shield is activated, she increases the damage by 10%, or the damage is increased by 10%, not for herself, but also for your entire party. So in theory, you're basically getting a 30% damage increase, because everybody can make use out of it, and you have the utility for survivability. And when you have like places where all hunters are on the field with Jinwoo together, when you trigger the shield is on everybody, so this one helps out a lot. So this is why I ranked this one here. And legit, the only reason it's not a skip is because Seo is, I mean, skip right now, but nonetheless, it's C tier right now because Seo is the only one who can make use of this set, and it's a very good set for her, to be honest. Next up, we have the Destroyer set. The Destroyer set is definitely S tier, one of the best sets in the game. The amount of utility and support you get out of the set is on another level. It increases your power gauge acquisition rate by 20%, and if you have it at a 4-piece set, you start off with 50% filled up power acquisition with a power gauge bar, and you also increase the power acquisition rate of your party members by 20%. This is actually huge. This is very huge because this one helps you a lot gaining your ultimate skills faster, especially with your other units, because sometimes it's quite rough to gain power gauge meter to activate your ults, and having one unit in your party which has the Destroyer set on helps a lot for rotating your skills, and especially rotating your ultimate skills. Next up, we have the one-hit kill set, the Kagagan set. This one is definitely S tier. It increases your ultimate damage by 25% and then reduces your cooldown by 40%. If I remember correctly from my Choi video, the cooldown went down from 45 seconds down to 21 seconds. I don't know what's up with these values actually. Usually should have been 27 seconds because it states 40%, but it's actually stronger than that. You have just a 21-second cooldown. And this set is super strong because in this game you want to rotate your hunters. So this set is not as great for Jinwoo because Jinwoo is the only unit on the field, but with your hunters, because of you consistently rotating, this one is very, very powerful with the rotation of your hunters. And if you use the one-hit kill set, you definitely want to combine it with the Destroyer set. You want to have one unit with the Destroyer set and your other units with the Destroyer set, with the one-hit kill set, and it's especially deadly when you use it on units whose sole focus is dealing damage and not having any utility like break. If the unit doesn't have break effects or break skills, you 100% want to use the one-hit kill set. And here is why you want to use it. So you just saw the footage. I didn't play it perfectly, but still you saw what I mean by having the one-hit kill set. You basically, after the first rotation, starting from the second rotation, you have your ult up every single time. And since you want to rotate your party members every single time you're out of your skills, you basically have infinite ultimate skill usage the entire battle, but you want to have one support unit with the destroyer set to make most use out of that effect. Next up we have the breaker set. The breaker set is definitely A tier. You can also say it's B tier depending on how you look at it, situational or not, because the you could say it's B tier because the only units which get used out of it are more break type units like Sio, Emma, Wuchinchul, Lim, stuff like that, right? Or Bake. But still, nonetheless, for these units, this is actually pretty powerful because you increase your damage by 15% when they're in the break state, and you increase the break effect by 30%. So this one is very strong, especially for units like Emma and Bike. They make use of this set a lot just to make sure you can quickly destroy the enemy's break gauge. Now let's put it in A tier. Then we have the Solid Foundation set. My opinion, it's the weakest set in the game right now, especially for Hunters. Sung Jin-woo can make more use out of it, but for Hunters especially, it's not the greatest set because you want to rotate your Hunters a lot in the battle. You don't stay in a battle and keep spamming basic attacks, core attacks, stuff like that. You want to rotate, like you put in your character, your QTE, you use the skills, whatever, and once you run out, you do one core attack, boom, swap to the next one to activate the next QTE and keep your skill cycle going. And because the Foundation set or Dragon set focuses heavily on just spamming basic and core attacks, it's not very good, and I highly recommend to not use that set as of right now. If they maybe introduce a new game mode where you can only use maybe one hunter and cannot bring a whole party of hunters, this set then goes up in the tier list, because then you can only use one unit, and then we can actually talk about how good it is in combat when you cannot swap to different hunters. But for right now, it's not good, and I would avoid this set. Last but not least, we have the Holy set. I put it in C tier. It's niche because it increases your HP by 8% and it decreases your attack by 8%, but also increases the attack percentages by your allies by 8%. Yes, there's some utility with the skill, but as of right now, we don't have that many strong attack percentage scaling hunters in particular. And even if so, I believe it's just for that, having more HP, I don't believe it's that great. You're better off just straight running the Destroyer set on your support units. You don't need the extra more HP or just that little bit of extra attack. Rather go with the Power Acquisition, Rather go with the Destroyer set on them, because then you actually support your other units to keep spamming your old skills and to make use of that the most. Well guys, and that sums up the artifact tier list. Here where I ranked them, how I explained why I ranked them the way I did. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and also leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below as well. What do you guys think about, well, what is your experience with the sets as well? What's your progression? Do you agree, do you disagree with certain takes? Nonetheless, thanks guys for watching. See you next time. Deuces.